Hi, we're back for Job 37. This is part 2 of day 189. Part 2 of day 189. We're actually gonna be finishing Job. Let's pray. Father Yahweh, who is Elohim, we've talked to you earlier today. We will talk to you again later today, but keep the Spirit flowing through me and the words that you will have me speak in my mouth, and you have the power in Yeshua's name. Amen. And not the words that you won't have me speak. Don't put them in my mouth, but make sure that I speak all the words that you give me. Elihu, continuing, at this too my heart trembles and leaps from its place. Listen to the trembling of his voice, and the sound that comes from his mouth. He lets it loose under all the heavens, and his lightning to the corners of the earth. After it, a voice roars. He thunders with the voice of his excellency, and he does not hold them back when his voice is heard. El thunders wondrously with his voice, doing great deeds, which we do not understand. For he says to the snow, be on the earth, also to the gentle rain and the heavy rain of his strength. He seals up the hand of every man, for all men to know his work. Then the beast goes into its lair, and they stay in their dens. From the room of the south comes the whirlwind, and the cold from the scattering winds of the north. By the breath of El, ice is given, and the expanse of water becomes solid. He also loads the thick clouds with moisture. He scatters his bright clouds, and they swirl about, being turned by his guidance, to do whatever he commands them on the face of the earthly world. He causes it to come, whether as a rod, or for his land, or for loving commitment. Listen to this, O Job. Stand still and consider the wonders of El. Do you know when Eloah placed them and caused the lightning of his cloud to shine? Do you know the balancing of the clouds, the wonders of the one perfect in knowledge? Why are your garments hot when the earth is stilled from the south? Did you, with him, spread out the clouds, strong as a hard mirror? Teach us what we should say to him. We do not set in order because of darkness. Should he be told that I would speak? Would any man ask to be swallowed up? And now they shall not look on the light that is bright behind the clouds, when the wind has passed and cleared them. From the golden north it comes, with Eloah is awesome excellency. The Almighty, we have not found him out. He is exalted in power and right ruling, and great in righteousness. He does not oppress. Therefore, men fear him. He does not regard any who are wise of heart. He does not regard any who are wise of heart. So excited because I'm looking at this page and I just saw then Yahweh answered in the next chapter. So which I've known about. I knew that was where, because my New American Bible has these like headings, so to speak. King James does too. So does the ESV. Like broken it up by sections. And in this chapter, for at least the beginning, the first 14 verses, this is the authority of El. We ended chapter 36 with those 6 verses about just painting the picture of El's authority within the earthly matters. Storming, precipitation, basically, like, they tended the ground, right? And that's how food came up, you know. Like, they needed to water, I guess maybe they watered the garden in drought, otherwise the rain watered the garden. But they needed to, you know, till the land to make sure that the dirt was stirred up and not rocky. They needed to give it nutrients to a degree, whether that was chicken poop or, you know, fish bones or making compost, whatever it was. But all the things in the sky and in the heavens, they happened without man's interference. There's nothing that man can do to make it rain, except pray to Eloah. And so, 36, 37, their one speech, there's no, like, Elihu continued and said, so it's like, it's just a broken up one go of it. Elihu says, "At this too, my heart trembles and leaps from its place." Regarding those 6 verses in chapter 36, and because he knows that he can't do anything. He knows that the works of this are grander than he. So, and that's like anybody in this day and age who thinks that they're God, who wants to, you know, do their own, you know, it's one thing to, like, want to do your own will, like, oh, I don't want to go to this college, I want to go to that college, I don't want to be a plumber, I want to be an electrician. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to do your own will, it's another thing to want to control the entirety of reality and skew it on a baseline away from the original creator, because it is said in Genesis 3:1, "And the Nahash was more crafty than all the lives of the field which Yahweh had made. And he said to the woman, Is it true that Elohim has said, Do not eat of every tree of the garden?" And then if we go to verse 13, "And Yahweh said to the woman, What is this you have done? And the woman said, The Nahash deceived me, and I ate." So it is the deception that is the work of the enemy. And so when he pulls you off of the reality of the Creator, that is deception. And Elihu is like, my heart trembles and leaps from its place. You know, like, really think about it. Really think about how perfectly the world works, whether it's the trees taking in the carbon dioxide and giving off the oxygen that we need, and the branches looking just like the branches in our lungs, the bronchioles, you know, whether it's the water going up and coming down in the cycle, whether it's as we get into the snow and the gentle rain and the ice, and how, you know, the sun rises every day. Nobody makes the sun rise. Nobody's going to stop the sun from rising. No man has any authority over any of this except the Son of Man, the Son of Elohim. And even in Joshua, when the sun stops, I want to say I was going to say it was 18, but 17. Joshua 10. Joshua 10:10, "And Yahweh threw them into confusion before Israel, and they struck them with a great slaughter at Gabon, and pursued them along the way that goes to Beth Horon, and struck them as far as Azekah and Makkedah. And it came to be, as they fled before Israel, and were on the descent of Beth Horon, that Yahweh drew down large hailstones from the heavens on them as far as Azekah, and they died. There were more who died from the hailstones than those whom the sons of Israel had killed with the sword. Then Yehoshua spoke to Yahweh in the day when Yahweh gave the Amorites over to the children of Israel, and he said before the eyes of Israel, Sun, stand still over Gabon, and moon in the valley of Ailon. So the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, till the nation avenged itself upon their enemies. Is this not written in the book of Yasher? Thus the sun stopped in the midst of the heavens, and did not hasten to go down for an entire day. And there had been no day like that before or after, that Yahweh listened to the voice of man, because Yahweh fought for Israel. So Yahweh does this. Yahweh listened to the voice of man, because Yahweh fought for Israel, and that is why the sun stands still. Yehoshua, even he can do, Yeshua can do nothing that he hasn't heard from the Father. We know that. I am the good shepherd, and I know mine, and mine know me, even as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. John 10:14. So Yeshua said to them, John 8:28, when you lift up the Son of Man, then you shall know that I am he, and that I do none at all of myself, but as my Father taught me, these words I speak, and he who sent me is with me. The Father has not left me alone, for I always do what pleases him. Okay, so as he was speaking these words, many believed in him. So Yeshua said to those Yehudim who believed him, if you stay in my word, you are truly my taught ones, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. All right. So, the truth. Deception, away from God. Truth, right to God. The spirit of truth, as I believe is in John. Might even be John 8 as well. John 14:17. The Spirit of Truth. Okay. Listen to the trembling of his voice, so the sound that comes from his mouth. He lets it all loose under the heavens, and his lightning to the corners of the earth. Mine has a footnote that says wings voice the thunder. So let's go to a couple examples of this. Revelation 1:10, I came to be in the Spirit on the day of Yahweh, and I heard beyond me a loud voice as of a trumpet, saying, I am the Aleph and the Tav, the first and the last, and write in a book what you see, and send it to the 7 assemblies of Asia, to Ephesus, and to Smyrna, and to Pergamos, and to Thyatira, and to Sardis, and to Philadelphia, and to Laodicea. And I turned to see the voice which spoke to me. Having turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands. And in the midst of the 7 lampstands, one like the Son of Man, dressed in a robe down to the feet, and girded about the chest with a golden band. Do not be afraid, I am the first and the last. And his head and his hair were white as wool, white as white wool, as snow, and his eyes are as a flame of fire, and his feet like burnished brass, as if refined in a furnace, and his voice is the sound of many waters. His voice has the sound of many waters. Praise Yahweh. I do not know, but he does. Listen to the trembling of his voice and the sound that comes from his mouth. He lets it loose under all the heavens, and his lightning to the corners of the earth. After it a voice roars. He thunders with the voice of his excellency, and he does not hold them back when his voice is heard. And in his right hand he held 7 stars. And out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword, and his face was as the sun shining in its strength. And when I saw him, I fell at my feet as dead, and he placed his right hand on me, saying, Do not be afraid. I am the first and the last, and the living one, and I became dead, and see, I am living forever and ever. Amen. And I possess the keys of Sheol and of death. Write therefore what you have seen, both what is now and what shall take place after these. The secret of the 7 stars which you saw in my right hand, and the 7 golden lampstands. The 7 stars are messengers of the 7 assemblies, and the 7 lampstands which you saw are the 7 assemblies. To the messenger of the assembly of Ephesus write, He who is holding the 7 stars in his right hand, who is walking in the midst of the 7 golden lampstands, says this, I know your works and your labor and your endurance, and that you are not able to bear evil ones, and have tried those who say they are emissaries and are not, and have found them false. And you have been bearing up, and have endurance, and have labored for my name's sake, and have not become weary. But I hold this against you, that you have left your first love. You've left your first love. What is all this for? We're going to answer that. After it a voice roars. He thunders with the voice of his excellency, and he does not hold back when his voice is heard. El thunders wondrously with his voice, doing great deeds which we do not understand. I go back to 28:28. He said to man, the fear of Yahweh, that is wisdom, and to turn from evil is understanding. To turn from evil is understanding. Doing great deeds which we do not understand. What is our expectation implied there? Yahweh does the great deeds. We turn from evil. For he says to the snow, be on the earth, also to the gentle rain and the heavy rain of his strength. He seals up the hand of every man, for all men to know his work. Okay, before I make a argument about this, I want to read the other translations. He sealeth up the hand of every man, that all men know his work. He shuts up all mankind indoors. Huh. Okay. God puts a stop to all human activity so that every mortal man will know his work. He seals up the hand of every man that all men whom he made may know it. Okay. So we've got two different viewpoints here. 3 of the Bibles say he seals the hand of every man for all men to know his work, and 2 Bibles say that he basically shuts men indoors. He hides them, puts a stop to all human activity. Oh, this one has a footnote that says literally puts a seal on the hand of every man. So, I want to go to Revelation 5:1, and I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a scroll written inside and on the back, having been sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong messenger proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the scroll and to loosen its seals. So these seals are like wax seals. Now, as you would see on a letter. Now, Chapter 7, verse 1. And after this I saw 4 messengers standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another messenger coming up from the rising of the sun, holding the seal of the living Elohim. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 messengers to whom it was given to harm the earth and the sea, saying, do not harm the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees, until we have sealed the servants of our Elohim upon their forehead. Okay. He seals up the hand of every man for all men to know his work. And these seals go on the forehead. Now, and I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000, sealed out of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Of the tribe of Yehuda, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Reuben, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Gad, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Asher, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Naphtali, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Manasseh, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Shimon, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Levi, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Issachar, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Zebulun, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Joseph, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Benjamin, 12,000 were sealed. After this I looked and saw a great crowd, which no one was able to count, out of all the nations and tribes and peoples and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, dressed in white robes and palm branches in their hands, and crying out with a loud voice, saying, deliverance belongs to our Elohim who sits on the throne and to the Lamb. And all the messengers stood around the throne and the elders of the 4 living creatures, and fell on their faces before the throne and worshipped Elohim, saying, Amen, the blessing and the esteem and the wisdom and the thanksgiving and the respect and the power and the might to our Elohim forever and ever. Amen. And one of the elders responded, saying to me, who are these dressed in white robes, and where did they come from? And I said to him, Master, you know. And he said to me, these are those coming out of a great distress, having washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Because of this, they say, they are before the throne of Elohim and serve him day and night in his dwelling place. And he who sits on the throne shall spread his tent over them. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun strike them, nor any heat. Because the Lamb who is in the midst of the throne shall shepherd them, and lead them to the fountains of the waters of life, and Elohim shall wipe away every tear from their eyes. Those are the sealed ones, for all men to know his work. Seals up the hand of every man. Now, could this be, because we only have forehead here, 9:4. Okay, so we've got 3 references in Revelation to this verse. 9:4, and it was said to them, these are the locusts, they shall not harm the grass of the earth or any green matter or any tree, but only those men who do not have the seal of Elohim upon their forehead. In reference to do not harm the earth nor the sea nor the trees until we have sealed the servants. So now the servants are sealed, and stuff starts to happen. Wow. Okay. Okay. So 9:4, do not seal, and then we go to 14:1. And I looked and saw a lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written upon their forehead. Okay, so this is literally the foreheads, not the hands. However, I do want to go to, this is not, there's one other place. I'm going to read this one. And they shall see his face, and his name shall be upon their foreheads. So, because 20 verse 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was given to them. And the lives of those who had been beheaded because of the witness they bore to Yeshua, and because of the word of Elohim, and who did not worship the beast nor his image, and did not receive his mark upon their forehead or upon their hands. And they lived and reigned with Messiah for 1,000 years. And the rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were ended. This is the first resurrection. And so, okay. So the beast gives the mark on the foreheads or their hands, but Yahuwah only seals in the foreheads, which is interesting. So I was thinking that you shall know them by their works. I had also thought that the seal was on the forehead, was on the heads or the hands, just like the contrast to the mark of the beast, because the beast is the copycat, right? And so I assume, because we're going to get into, like, literally the next line is, then the beast goes into its lair and they stay in their dens. So once the man of Elohim is sealed, we don't get the Great River Euphrates. Okay. If we go to chapter 17, we don't get the beast until chapter 17. So we've got the seal from 7 to 17. But if we go through 17, and one of the 7 messengers who had the 7 bowls came and spoke with me, saying to me, Come, I shall show you the judgment of the great whore sitting on many waters, with whom the sovereigns of the earth committed whoring, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her whoring. And he carried me away in the spirit of the wilderness. And I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, covered with names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was dressed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, holding in her hand a golden cup filled with abominations and the filthiness of her whoring. And upon her forehead a name written, a secret, Babel the Great, the mother of the whores and of the abomination of the earth. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the set apart ones, and with the blood of the witnesses of Yeshua. And having seen her, I marveled, greatly marveled. And the messenger said to me, Why did you marvel? Let me explain to you the secret of the woman and of the beast she rides, which has 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that you saw was and is not, and is about to come up out of the pit of the deep and goes to destruction. And those dwelling on the earth whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world shall marvel when they see the beast that was and is not and is yet and yet is. Here is the mind having wisdom. The 7 heads and 7 mountains on which the woman sits. And there are 7 sovereigns, 5 have fallen and 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he has to remain a little while. And the beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th and is the 7th, and is of the 7 and goes to destruction. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 sovereigns who have not yet received a reign, but receive authority as a sovereign. With the beast for 1 hour. And so this is the beast who marks in, who has given the mark in 24. And so they have one mind, and they shall give their power and authority to the beast. They shall fight with lambs, and the lamb shall overcome them. For he is master of masters and sovereign of sovereigns, and those with him are called and chosen and trustworthy. The beast that you saw and is not, was and is not, and is about to come up out of the pit of the deep and goes to destruction. And those dwelling on the earth whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world shall marvel when they see the beast that was and is not and yet is. Here is the mind having wisdom. Okay. So we're going to stop there because we are not yet wise enough. And that is the first step of wisdom, is saying, I don't know. So, but I do want to point out the is not and is about to come up, that you saw was and is not and is about to come up out of the pit of the deep and goes to destruction. He seals up the hand of every man for all men to know his work. Then the beast goes into its lair and they stay in their dens. There has to be a bride for Yeshua to come back to. Okay? Did we beat that to death? Have we revelationed enough? We use Revelation a lot for 27 to 33 and 36 in chapter 36, and then we just revelationed all of that, and we're stopping there. But the point is that the prophecy here is not to be understated in the common works of the earth's cycles. From the room of the south comes the whirlwind, and the cold from the scattering winds of the north. I had a footnote here. A footnote somewhere. Only in 9. Chamber, where it was popular belief storms were kept or enclosed. Comes the whirlwind. The storm wind blows from its chamber, and the cold wind comes from the north wind. How do we get south here? Out of the south. So I've got 2 Bibles saying the south and 3 Bibles saying the chamber. And cold out of the north. Well, I'm going to use the restroom and see if I can think about this. Okay, so we know that there is a time in Job where we get so I want to go to 1820. Those in the west are astonished at his day, as those in the east are frightened. This is Bildad talking about Elohim. Would a wise man with vain knowledge Would a wise man answer with vain knowledge or fill his belly with east wind? Okay. That is 15:2 Eliphaz. Those in the east are frightened. Okay. I could have sworn that there was a place where Job was talking about the 4 winds, north, south, east, and west. Okay. There the upright might reason with him, and I would go safe from my judge. See, I go forward, but he is not, and backwards, but I do not perceive him. To the left, where he is working, but I do not see. He turns to the right, but I do not see. Okay. Now, you got forward or backward. For he knows the way that I take when he has tried me. I would come forth as gold. Those in the west are astonished at his day, as those in the east are frightened. Okay? Would a wise man answer with vain knowledge, or fill his belly with the east wind? So, east wind, frighten it. Yes? We agree on that. With blustery knowledge. Or will he fill his belly with the east wind? Okay. Should a wise man answer with airy opinions, or puff himself up with wind? No. Should a wise man answer with windy knowledge, and fill his belly with the east wind? Okay. One more. East wind. Okay. That one says the same thing this does. Should a wise man utter vain knowledge and fill his belly with the east wind? So we've got, and then in 23. See, I go forward, but he is not, and backwards, but I do not perceive him. To the left, where he is working, but I do not see. Okay, so those in the west are astonished at his day. I do not see. Praise Yahweh. Praise Yahweh. He turns to the right, but I do not see. As those in the east are frightened. Can't see, he can't understand, so he doesn't expect it. He's terrified of it. Would he reason with useless talk, or by speeches which would a wise man answer with vain knowledge, or fill his belly with the east wind, with things that he cannot see? Come on, let's go back to 37. From the room of the south comes the whirlwind, and the cold from the scattering winds of the north. Praise Yahweh. Okay. See, I go forward, but he is not, and backwards, but I do not perceive him. From the room of the south comes the whirlwind. Okay, so I go backwards, and I do not perceive him. The whirlwind. You ever walk backwards in the wind? Sink back into it. You don't feel it as much. You feel it on your face. That wind whips, that wind hits your face. You can feel that wind. May the wind be always at your back. See, I go forward, but he is not. And cold from the scattering winds of the north. Cold. You're cold to somebody. You're cold. You ignore them. I go forward, but he is not. He is not there when you go forward. Okay? Okay. Now, we've got so many references to the four winds. And we're going to just take this one by one. Daniel 7:2. Look, I found my bookmarks. Had them in the back of my book the whole time. Praise Yahweh. I have these, first of all, as a picture of my family. And then the other one is Torah portions for the year. So, put that bookmark there. And then Daniel 7:2. Daniel spoke and said, I was looking in my vision by night and saw the four winds of the heavens stirring up the great sea, and four great beasts came up from the sea, different from one another. Okay. Zechariah 2:6. Zechariah 2:6. Oh, and flee from the land of the north, declares Yahweh, for I have scattered you like the four winds of the heavens. Frightened, astonished, ignored. What's the south? How do I describe the south? The whirlwind. And frightened, astonished, ignored by Yahweh and ignoring Yahweh. Scattered you like the four winds of the heavens. We're going to go to Mark 13:27. Mark 13:27. And then he shall send his messengers and assemble his chosen ones from the four winds, from the farthest parts of the earth to the farthest parts of the heavens. The astonished, the frightened, the turned from Yah, and the Yah turned from. I'm going to go to Jeremiah 49:36. I'm going to put another bookmark here. And I shall bring up Elam, the four winds, from the four quarters of the heavens, and scatter them toward all those winds, and there shall be no nation where the outcasts of Elam do not go. And I shall bring upon Elam the four winds from the four quarters of the earth, and scatter them toward all the winds. Denial of Yahweh. Ignorance by Yahweh. Astonishment at the works of Yahweh. And I'm going to see what other word we have for this. Now we're going back to Revelation. Oh, what do we got here? 18:20. They of the west are appalled at his day, and horror seizes them of the east. So, and that's really the difference in astonishment and frightening, is that one is like terrifying, shaking in your boots. When his day comes, the people in the west will be appalled, and the people in the east will be seized with horror. Like petrified in the east, and absolutely like dismayed, disgusted, like this can't possibly be right. They who come after shall be appalled at his fate. They who went before are struck with horror. That's an interesting translation. And they that come after him shall be astonished at his day, and they that went before were frightened. How is 23 written in these books? On the left, behold, I go forward, but he is not there, and backward, but I cannot perceive him. On the left hand where he doeth work, but I cannot behold him. He hideth himself on the right hand, that I cannot see him. This is, I like the King James translation on that. Where the north enfolds him, but if I go east, he is not there, or to the west I cannot perceive him. Where the north enfolds him, I behold him not. By the south he is veiled, and I see him not. Oh! This one has them switched, which is interesting. I go forward, he is not there. To the west I cannot perceive him. On the left hand where he doeth work, but I cannot behold him. He hideth himself on the right hand, and I cannot see him. So, but if I go east, he is not there, and I return and cannot find him. And when he is working on the left, I cannot look upon him. Then he turns to the right, but I still do not see him. Okay, so why would we be facing east? Why would east be forward? Behold, I go forward, but he is not there, and backward, but I do not perceive him. On the left hand, why would we be facing east? Because would a man fill his belly with eastward wind? Would a wise man answer with vain knowledge, or fill his belly with the east wind? I think their directions are messed up in this. Because the way this makes the most sense, if you look at this, behold, I go forward, but he is not there, and backward, but I cannot perceive him. On the left hand where he doeth work, but I cannot behold him. He hideth himself on the right hand, that I cannot see him. So, if I go forward, if I go north, he's not there. And cold from the scattering winds of the north. And backwards, but I cannot perceive him. From the room of the south comes the whirlwind. Okay. On the left hand where he doeth work, but I cannot behold him. Those in the west are astonished at his day. He hideth himself on the right, that I cannot see him. Those in the east are frightened. So, if we look at a north, south, east, west, and you got to keep, this is my right hand, so east is on the right here. Okay. So, east is frightening. What did we have for 1820? One of these had a really good one. Called those who come after shall be appalled at his fate. Those who went before are struck with horror. So we can agree among these 5 translations. It's not like they're all saying something too differently. My argument is that their direction is wrong, because why would you face an east wind? North is generally forward, like generally up is north. That's your forward direction is just north, because it's up. Like it's just, and I mean literally, always go toward Elohim. Like seek first the kingdom, and all these shall be added unto you. Right? Messiah said that. So seek first the kingdom. So let's presume that north is. Messiah said that in Matthew 6. Do not worry then, 6:31, do not worry then, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For all these the nations seek for. And your heavenly Father knows that you need all these. But seek first the reign of Elohim and his righteousness, and all these shall be added unto you. So you're going left, you're going right, you're astonished here, you're frightened here. You're trying to find all these things, and cold from the scattering winds of the north. Cold from the scattering winds of the north. You go forward, but he is not there. So we're going to find out why exactly this is. North is the way to find him. We've got the 4 winds of the earth. I'm going to read Daniel 7:2. Daniel spoke, and I was looking in my vision by night and saw the 4 winds of the heavens stirring up the great sea, and the 4 great beasts came up from the sea, different from one another. Now let's go back to Revelation 7. And after this, I saw 4 messengers standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. Okay. All of this stops at this point in Revelation, when we get the sealing of the 144,000. Okay. So no longer will his people be cold from the scattering winds of the north. Okay, in Ezekiel, they're scattered to the nations, right? Ezekiel 37, I believe, right? They're scattered to the nations. This northward disposition that we're supposed to have per Messiah. Seek first the reign of Elohim, and all these shall be added unto you. No, it's not 37. 32. 34:5, and they were scattered because there was no shepherd, and they became food for all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. Okay? This north wind, the scattering wind from the north, the reign of Elohim that has scattered us because of our disobedience. And after this I saw 4 messengers standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. The wind should not blow. Seek the rain. We're scattered right now. What does it say? I go south, but I cannot perceive him. It hurts less to sink back, away. The north is here. The reign of Elohim is here. Okay? North. Sink back into the south, into the arms of the devil. He wants you. He says, I'll comfort you. I will make you feel comfortable. You can do your drugs with me. You can whore with me. You can do your idolatry. You can worship whatever you want to worship. I am here for you. Did Elohim really say not to eat of the fruit of the tree? not to eat of every tree of the garden? We are to eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, do not eat it nor touch it, lest you die. And the Nahash said to the woman, you shall certainly not die. For Elohim knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes shall be open, and you shall be like Elohim, knowing good and evil. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise, and she took the fruit and ate. And she also gave to her husband with her, and he ate. It's comfortable. Slinking back into the south. You do not perceive. Look to the west. I go to the west. I go to the right. On the left hand, where he doeth work, but I cannot behold him. I cannot behold him. Those who come after shall be appalled at his fate. Those in the west are astonished at his day. I do not behold him. I look here. I do not behold him. I do not see him. He hideth himself on the right hand, that I cannot see him. As those in the east are frightened. Okay? So, this really became an amazing answer to Job. Job is... Elihu is a massively understated prophet here. That he was able to see all of this, and we're only now... There's still more. We're 9 verses into Job 37. There's more, and then Yahweh speaks. So, I mean, take me to Revelation. Seek the reign of Elohim. Do not slink back into the south for the comfort from the whirlwind. If you go west, if you veer left, what is it? You veer left off the path that is straight and narrow, the gate that is narrow and the path that is straight. You veer left off that path. The path goes north, right to Elohim. It's cold right now because we're scattered. Don't slink back into the comfort of the south. You go left. Where he doeth work, but you cannot behold him. You go right. Say this one more time. We're scattered right now. It is cold being scattered. Do not slink back into the comfort of the south. If you go west, if you veer left off the path that is straight and narrow, you shall be appalled at your fate. If you go right, you go east, you shall be struck with horror. Seek first the reign of Elohim. And after this I saw the 4 messengers standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. By the breath of El, life, ice is given, and the expanse of water becomes solid. Yeah. Wonder if any other ones have spirit here. By the breath of God. By the will. With his breath. 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 Okay. Because this is the Torah for ice. By the breath of El, ice is given, and the expanse of water becomes solid. Broad waters are frozen fast. When it's cold, water turns to ice. It's Torah. The love of many shall grow cold. We read that earlier in Job 36, Matthew 24:9, is it? Okay. So, all of this pointing to the salvation that comes from Revelation. Matthew 24:12. And because of the increase in lawlessness, the love of many shall become cold, where water turns to ice. The living waters. Come on, what is the living waters? Do we... I don't know where the scripture is, but... I mean, like... I love you guys, and this is why I'm doing this. To show you that, to show all people that this is perfect. This is written by the living God, and you must behold and bow and supplicate yourself to the entirety of this word. John 7:38, as the scripture said, out of his innermost shall flow rivers of living water. So, man, what are the innermost, the inner parts? You leave the inward parts of the Passover lamb, the living waters. Exodus 12:9, do not eat it raw nor boiled at all with water, but roast it in fire, its head with its legs and its inward parts. Man, come on. Boiled with water? You can't boil it in water. Okay. Alright. Father YHWH, thank you for all this revelation. Thank you for blessing the people with us. Okay. By the breath of El, ice is given, and the expanse of water becomes solid. He also loads the thick clouds with moisture. He scatters his bright clouds. Also loads the thick clouds with moisture. Thick clouds. Exodus 19:16, and it came to be on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightning and a thick cloud on the mountain, and the voice of a shofar was very strong, and all the people who were in the camp trembled. We've got the voice of thunder. El thunders wondrously with his voice, doing great deeds, which we do not understand. We've got the thick cloud of moisture with living waters. He scatters his bright clouds. The light. these his thick clouds full of living water move out of the way of his bright clouds. And no one in the heaven or on the earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or look at it. And I wept much, because no one was found worthy to open and read the scroll or to look at it. And one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Yehudah, the root of David, overcame to open the scroll and loosen its 7 seals." And I looked and saw in the midst of the throne and the living 4 creatures, and in the midst of the elders, a lamb standing, as having been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of Elohim sent out into all the earth. And he came and took the scroll out of the right hand of him sitting on the throne. And when he took the scroll, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, each holding a harp and golden bowls filled with incense, which are the prayers of the set-apart ones. And they sang a renewed song, saying, "You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, because you were slain and have redeemed us to Elohim by your blood out of every tribe and tongue and every people and nation. And people and nation, and made us sovereigns and priests to our Elohim, and we shall reign upon the earth." And I looked and heard the voice of many messengers around the throne, and the living creatures and the elders, and the number of them was myriads and myriads, and thousands of thousands, saying with a loud voice, "Worthy is the Lamb." The messengers saying, the messengers and the living creatures and the elders, "Worthy is the Lamb, having been slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and respect and esteem and blessing." And every creature which is in the heaven and the earth and under the earth, and such as are in the sea, and all that are in them, I heard saying, "To him sitting on the throne and to the Lamb be the blessing and the respect and the esteem and the might forever and ever." And the 4 living creatures said, "Amen." And the 24 elders fell down and bowed before him who lives forever and ever. Okay. So, the messengers are singing with the living creatures and the elders, but 2 times they're not witnessed bowing down. But the living creatures are only falling down bowing once. So, are we to assume that the messengers wouldn't bow before the Son of Man? I wouldn't assume so. End of verse 4. And when the living creatures give esteem and respect and thanks to him who sits on the throne, who lives forever and ever, the 24 elders fall down before him who sits on the throne and bow before him who lives forever and ever, and they cast their crowns before the throne, saying, "You are worthy, O Yahweh, to receive esteem and respect and power, for you have created all, and because of your desire they are and were created." I think it's safe to say that all will bow. No messenger is opening the scrolls. Worthy is the Lamb, having been slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and respect and esteem and blessing. The Lamb. and also loads the thick clouds with moisture. He scatters his bright clouds, and they swirl about, being turned by his guidance to do whatever he commands them on the face of the earthly world. Well, it's like, I'm just gonna drop this on you real quick, and then let you think about it while I go evacuate the coffee from my bladder. Ezekiel 1:4. And I looked and saw a whirlwind coming out of the north, a great cloud with fire flashing itself. A whirlwind coming out of the north. If the whirlwind, from the room of the south comes the whirlwind. A great cloud of fire flashing itself. Where do we hear this? (36:29) Also, who understands the spreading of clouds, the crashing from his shelters? See, he has spread his light upon it, and he has covered the depths of the sea. And brightness was all around it. And out of its midst, like glowing metal, out of the midst of fire, out of the midst of it came what looked like 4 living creatures. They're back. And this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. Each one had 4 faces, and they had 4 wings, and their feet were straight feet, and their soles of their feet were like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the appearance of polished bronze. And under the wings on their 4 sides were the hands of a man. And each of the 4 had faces and wings. Their wings touched one another. They did not turn when they went, but each one went straight forward. Forward? 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 Northward? And the likeness of their faces, the face of a man, and each of the 4 had the face of a lion on the right side, and each of the 4 had the face of an ox on the left side, and each of the 4 had the face of an eagle. Such were their faces, their wings were spread upward, 2 of each touched one another, and 2 covered their bodies. And each one went straight forward, going wherever the Spirit was to go, and they did not turn when they went. And the likeness of the living creature, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of torches moving back and forth among the living creatures, and the fire was bright and out of the lightning. And they swirl about, being turned by his guidance to do whatever he commands them on the face of the earthly world. And I looked at the living creatures and saw a wheel. And the living creatures ran back and forth like the appearance of a flash of lightning. And I looked at the living creatures and saw a wheel on the earth beside each living creature with its 4 faces. The appearance of the wheels and their works was like the appearance of beryl. And all 4 had the same form. The appearance of their works was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. When they went in any one of the 4 directions. They did not turn aside when they went. And their rims were high and awesome, and their rims were covered with eyes all around the 4 of them. Let that sink in. Okay. So, I'm making a point here. Are you seeing all the connections? Are you seeing all of the connections here? And they swirl about, being turned by his guidance to do whatever he commands them on the face of the earthly world. Let's go to Ezekiel. Go to Ezekiel 3:12. And the Spirit lifted me up, and behind me I heard the sound of a great rumbling voice. Blessed be the esteem of Yahweh from his place, and the sound of the wings of the living creatures touching one another, and the sound of the wheels beside them, and the sound of a great rushing. And the Spirit lifted me and took me away, and I went in bitterness in the heat of my spirit, while the hand of Yahweh was strong upon me. And I came to the exiles at Tel Aviv, who were dwelling by the river Kabar. And I sat where they were sitting, and sat there stunned among them 7 days. And it came to be at the end of 7 days that the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel, and you shall hear a word from my mouth, and shall warn them from me. When I say to the wrong, you shall certainly die, and you have not warned him, nor spoken to warn the wrong from his wrong to save his life, that same wrong man shall die in his crookedness, and his blood I require at your hand. He causes it to come, whether as a rod, or for his land, or for loving commitment. But if you have warned the wrong, and he does not turn from his wrong, nor from his wrong ways, he shall die in his crookedness, and you have delivered your being. And when a righteous one turns from his righteousness, and shall do unrighteousness, when I have put a stumbling block before him, he shall die. Because you did not warn him, he shall die in his sin, and his righteousness, which he has done, is not remembered, and his blood I require at your hand. But if you have warned the righteous one that the righteous should not sin, and he does not sin, he shall certainly live, because he has been warned, and you have delivered your being. And the hand of Yahweh came upon me there, and said to me, Arise, go out into the plain, so that I may speak to you there. He causes it to come, whether as a rod, or for his land, or for loving commitment. Listen to this, O Job. Stand still and consider the wonders of El. Do you know when Eloah placed them, and caused the lightning of his cloud to shine? No man knows the day or the hour. Matthew 24. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your master is coming. Matthew 24:36, but concerning that day and the hour no one knows, not even the messengers of the heavens, but my Father only. Do you know the balancing of the clouds, the wonders of the one perfect in knowledge? The wonders of the one perfect in knowledge. Proverb 1:7, the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of knowledge. Wonders of the one perfect in knowledge, the one who knows all. Why are your garments hot when the earth is stilled from the south? Let's see, what do we got here? How thy garments are warm when he quieteth the earth by the south wind. That whirlwind? From the room of the south comes the whirlwind? Do you know the balancing of the clouds, the wondrous works of him who is perfect in knowledge? You whose garments are hot when the earth is still because of the south wind? Hot The depths of Sheol, the lake of fire. Still, do you find that peace, that calmness, and the comfort of being in the grasp of the devil, knowing? Why does your clothing become hot when the earth is filled when the earth is still because of the south wind? You whom the streams of water fail when a calm from the south come over the land. Do you spread out with him the firmament of the skies hard as a brazen mirror? This, and I don't know if we're going to see this in 38, but this has always been said to me as words of Yahweh. So we're going to have to see more 38. Did you with him spread out the clouds strong as a hard mirror? You have not created this, Job. All these clouds. Wow. Teach us what we should say to him. We do not set in order because of darkness. Teach us what we should say to him. We do not set in order because of darkness. What is said there? Oh, that just is... For we cannot order our speech by reason of darkness. For the darkness make our play. Tell us what we should say to him. We cannot answer because we are in the dark. Teach us what we shall say to him. We cannot draw up our case because of darkness. This is, man. See, and like, this is the perfection of it, because I'm reading this and I'm like, that just sounds snarkily sarcastic, which it probably is, because Elihu's been talking for 5 chapters now, but it's also like perfect in, for we cannot order our speech by reason of darkness. The darkness, you can't make a case if you're in darkness because you're wrong, and you don't know the case because you're in darkness. You don't know righteousness, but also the snarkiness of, we're just in the darkness. We don't know what to do. We don't know what we're saying. If you're such a great enlightened one, tell us. See how Revelation 17:9. Here is the mind having wisdom. Teach us what we should say to him. We do not set in order because of darkness. Should he be told that I would speak, would any man ask to be swallowed up? Lake of fire? Where are we here? Revelation 20, 14. And death and Sheol were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death. Into the lake of fire. Would any man ask to be swallowed up? And now they shall not look on the light that is bright behind the clouds, when the wind has passed and cleared them. From the golden north it comes, with Eloah his awesome excellency. The Almighty, we have not found him out. He is exalted in power and right ruling and great in righteousness. He does not oppress. Therefore men fear him. He does not regard any who are wise of heart. He does not regard any who are wise in their own conceit. Men therefore do fear him. He respecteth not any that are wise of heart. Therefore men revere him, though none can see him, however wise their heart. Therefore people should fear him, for he does not favor any who think they are wise. Revelation 1:12. And I turned to the voice which spoke to me. And having turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands. And in the midst of the 7 lampstands, one like the Son of Man, dressed in a robe down to the feet, and girded about the chest with a golden band. And his head and hair were white as white wool, as snow, and his eyes as a flame of fire. And his feet like burnished brass, as if refined in a furnace. And his voice as the sound of many waters. And in his right hand he held 7 stars. And out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword. And his face was as the sun shining in its strength. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead. And he placed his right hand on me, saying, Do not be afraid. I am the first and the last.